Do you remember what an interval is?
Yeah.
What is an interval?
Kind of.
Tell me all about it. What do you know about intervals? What do you remember, Eddie?
The distance between two pitches.
An interval is the distance between two pitches. That's right. And so, do you remember the types of intervals? Two types?
Harmonic and melodic.
What is a harmonic and what is a melodic interval? That's really good that you remember. That's all the way from
Melodic interval is the distance between two pitches played one after another.
And what's a fancy word for one after another? Consecutively. A melodic interval is two pitches played consecutively to form a melody. And then what's the other type? The harmonic type?
The distance between two pitches played at the same time.
And the fancy word for at the same time is?
I don't know.
Simultaneously. So we have consecutively or simultaneously, right? And then if you have a melodic interval, we have something we have to determine about the melodic interval that doesn't matter for harmonic. Do you remember what it is?
Nope.
Direction. Do you remember
Oh.
how many directions can an interval, a melodic interval, move in?
I don't know.
Two directions.
Two.
You could either be going
Down or up.
up or down, yeah. And the fancy word for up is ascending, and the fancy
Ascending
word
and-
for down is
Descending.
yeah. And so knowing all of that, let's see if you can do a little quiz. Could you pick anywhere on the piano and play a harmonic third?
So.
Yeah. How about a descending melodic second?
It's going down.
Yes.
I think so.
Going down would mean there you go. How about a harmonic fifth? Right. What about a descending melodic fourth? A descending melodic fourth.
Is that up or down?
So descending is starts with the same letter as down. Descending means down. That's how you can remember. They both start with a D. And what would be a fourth down? There you go. Yeah. And so now we have to learn something new about intervals now that we're in level 3. And this is kind of harder to understand because we have to learn about whole steps and half steps. And so half steps and whole steps are another way of thinking of intervals, but it's dividing up the intervals into a more precise measurement, because now we could say a minor and then the number, like a minor second, or a major and then the number, like third. So a half step will be moving from one key on the piano to the very next key, like this. See, no keys are in between. So you could move from a white key to another white key, only here and one other place, right? Here or where? Between E and F, and there's one other place you could go to a white key from a white key to have a half step. Only here, between E and F and between B and C. Those are the only places, right? Because all the other places have a black key between. So we could go from white to black or black to white. And that's also a half step. A whole step means two half steps smushed together. So an interval is always the distance between only two pitches. So we don't do this. That would be two different intervals. We have to go from here to here. So that's a whole step, or this is a whole step, or this is a whole step, because all of these we have one key between. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Most often you're going to have a black key between two white keys when you're playing piano, if you're playing a whole note.
Except here.
But you can have this, you can have this, and you can have this. White to black or black to black. Just It's less common, but definitely possible. And so the book doesn't make you learn this yet, but I want you to know a minor second is a half step. A major second is a whole step.
Yeah.
So both a half step and a whole step are a type of second. It's a little bit confusing to think about. And I have bad news for you. All of the numbers for every interval we've learned so far, like, they all have more things we have to know. Like, is it a minor third or a major third? What? How dare you, piano? How dare you? But yeah, we have to learn all of that at some point. And so there's one other word we have to remember, and that is the word enharmonic. And I don't know if you remember me talking about that word in level 2.
Nope.
When you had quiet thoughts and you first learned about sharps. But that word just means the same pitch in music has different names. So this is how the word is spelled with an E, enharmonic. So I could play this key right here, and I would usually call that key B, but I could call that C flat.
Yeah.
Or I could call it A double sharp.
Double sharp.
Don't worry too much about what that means.
Never heard of one.
But just like your mom probably calls you Alisa, but like your daughter would, for people call you different names depending on your relationship to them, but you're still the same person. That's kind of how pitch works. This sounds the same. If you close your eyes, if I say this is B or this is C flat, they sound exactly the same, but we have to use a different name sometimes. So we could call this pitch here C sharp. Is there another name we could call that back?
D flat.
Right, that would be the enharmonic name. Good. And so with all of that being said, and if you watch this at home, see if you can beat yourself today with your future self. Could you play an E flat on the keyboard?
E flat.
Mm-hmm. How about a D flat? D flat? Uh-huh. How about D natural? Right, good. And how about an A flat? There you go. And how about a B flat? G sharp? A sharp? Very good. Wow, very good. And one other thing you have to remember when you're thinking about this, yeah, you have a lot you have to know to understand this from level 2. What is a sharp?
I don't know how to explain it.
Can you point to a sharp on the page somewhere?
Sharp right here.
Yeah, what's the name of that sharp? Right there.
D sharp.
D sharp. And so what do you have to play when you see D sharp? So when you see the symbol that looks sort of like a hashtag, what do you
play the
have?
next key to the right, either black or white.
Right. And another way of saying playing the next key to the right, either black or white. Because if you weren't playing piano, you wouldn't say that, because you wouldn't have keys that were black and white. So you have to have a rule that applies to all instruments. So you could say a sharp raises a pitch 1
Half
half.
step higher.
And I made you memorize that, but you didn't know what a half step was in level 2.
Yeah.
But I knew you would know eventually, so that's why you needed to memorize the words. So I'll ask you again, what is a sharp, Alisa?
One.
It's a symbol that looks kind of like,
A hashtag.
and when you see the symbol, you have to
Raise
raise
the sound,
the pitch.
the pitch,
How
half
far?
a step higher.
1 half step. Mhm.
1 half step.
A sharp raises a pitch 1 half step. What's the opposite of a sharp?
Flat.
What is a flat?
play the next key to the left, either black or white.
What does a flat look like?
Oh, looking like fancy B, I guess.
Yeah.
Fancy B.
Yes. And so a flat, the other way you could say that, instead of you play the next key to the left, you could say a flat does what? Does a flat raise the pitch?
No, lower the pitch.
How much?
Half a step down.
Yes. So a flat lowers a pitch 1/2 step.
Yeah.
And there's one other symbol you had to learn at that time. Do you remember the other symbol? Sharp, flat, and...
Natural?
Yeah! Wow!
I just saw it right here and
and you remember
natural?
the name? Yeah! And so what does a natural do?
Play the regular note.
Well, a natural cancels a sharp or flat.
Yeah.
A natural cancels
a sharp or flat.
So most of the time in piano, that means you're going to take away the black key and play a white key instead. But that's not really what it means. That's just kind of a coincidence. Because like if you're playing a guitar, you're not going to play a white key instead of a black key.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any sense, right? So somehow the principle, the principle has to make sense for all instruments, even though knowing the explanation for your specific instrument is helpful too. So all three of those signs that you learned about so far, those all fell into one category. Do you remember what the category was called?
No.
It's okay if you don't. Accidentals.
Oh.
So far, you only know that sharps, flats, and naturals are accidentals. So if you have an accidental written, like you do in setting sun, somewhere in the measure, how long does the accidental last?
The whole measure.
Right. And when you get to the bar line of the measure, what happens?
Well, it's just gonna be like a regular.
It's gone.
It's gone.
The
Yeah.
accidental is gone. Yeah.
A regular note.
So if you had, say, I don't know if they have any in here, but if you had, I don't think they do, but if you had a E flat here on the first line of the treble clef, and then for pretend you had another E over here, but there was no flat sign, but it was before the bar line, would that E be E flat? And if they didn't want you to have an E flat, they would have to write a natural there. And the reason they put a natural here at the beginning of this measure, why would they do that? Like, why would they put a natural right after the bar line here?
I don't know.
Well, this is
because
called
probably most of the notes are sharps.
flats.
Flats, sharps,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So see here in this measure, you have a D flat, and here they're like, this is called a courtesy accidental. It's just a courtesy to remind you, remember, I know you're a student right now, so maybe you forgot, but after the bar line, you don't play the flat anymore. And so they just sometimes, even if you're not in a student book like this, they might like write the courtesy natural in just to be like, hey, remember, go back to the other way. So that's what that's for. Do you have any questions about all of that?
No. Maybe you should say that all again, though.
That's why I recorded it.
I forgot most of it.
This is 14 minutes, so I wish you could watch this like at least one time before your next lesson and see if you can
Memorize this?
Yeah, but see if you can answer at home, future Alisa, if future Alisa can answer these questions faster than today, Alisa. See if you can beat yourself. It's like a race, okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah. Oh, look, somebody... Can you read that?
No, that's in Russian. I don't know.
You don't know how to read it?
No, I don't know how to read Russian.
Okay, well, somebody said, greetings from St. Petersburg, a city from Russia. That's so nice. Because your family's from Moldova?
Yeah.
Is that pretty close to Russia, I think? I think your mom said it was.
It's like almost right next to it.
That's why I thought maybe you could read what they said, but no, never mind.
No,
Oh, well.
I can't. I don't know how to read Russian just
well.
yet.
Maybe
I'm asking my mom to teach, but she doesn't have time.
Oh, it's not even the same alphabet, so that would be hard to learn.
Yeah, it goes, I think, A, B, C, V.
Come on, Russia.
No, A, B,
That's way too hard.
V, G.
Just switch to the same alphabet as us.
Yeah, it's
That would be way
confusing.
better
A, B,
for
V,
us.
G.
You can do it. You seem smart over there.
It doesn't
Right?
make any sense. A, B, V, G.